The sun begins to rise over the horizon, tinting the sky with soft shades of orange and gold. The sound of the waves crashing on the shore mixes with the whisper of the wind, creating an atmosphere of pure tranquility. Amidst this paradisiacal scene, a solitary figure emerges, Paige Woollen. She walks slowly across the warm sand, her feet sinking into the softness of the beach, as if in total harmony with the environment around her. The swimsuit she is wearing is not just a piece of clothing, it is an extension of her personality. Bold yet refined. Her every move seems to be an invitation to contemplation, to connect with nature, and, at the same time, to the mystery of its presence. The camera follows Paige as she takes each step confidently, her gaze distant, as if she's already in a state of deep reflection. She pauses for a moment, taking in the view of the ocean, the clear sky, and the warmth of the sun gently beating down on her skin. The perfect scenery unfolds around her, but there's something more here, a sense of tranquility that goes beyond the simple pleasure of being by the sea. She's not just enjoying the view. She's reconnecting with something deeper. Something the beach has always provided, but she's aware few people truly understand. Pausing, Paige lets out a brief reflection. It's always been like this. For me, she says softly to herself. The beach, with its vastness and immensity, has always been her refuge. A place where she could be herself without the pressures of the outside world. Every wave that breaks on the sand, every breeze that touches her skin, reminds her of a time when the world seemed simpler and where she, contrary to what it seemed to others, finally found her place. Here I am free, she concludes in her thoughts, the serenity on her face contrasting with the intensity in her eyes. And then, with a light breeze playing with her hair, she starts walking again. The movement of her body, delicate and fluid, reflects the harmony with the environment. But something in her eyes begins to change, something deeper begins to reveal itself. The peace she feels in her soul begins to be accompanied by a growing restlessness. As if the beach, this place of refuge, is about to reveal more than she expected. Something that goes beyond the simple beauty of the moment, a revelation. And it is not just about a woman enjoying a day at the beach. As the camera follows her, the soft music in the background grows in intensity. The transition from calm to disturbing is subtle but noticeable. The beach seems to continue with its unchanging beauty, but Paige is aware of something that perhaps she does not want to see. There is something else in the air, something that bothers her. The sea, which seemed to be the greatest ally of her peace, now becomes the great mirror of her inner emotions. The true story of Paige Woolen begins to unfold at this very moment, and what seems to be a simple day at the beach is about to turn into something much more complex. She doesn't know it yet, but that sense of peace is about to be shattered. And what the viewer sees next will question everything that seemed safe. The beach has never been a refuge. At least not for her. But what would make her leave a place like this, where she feels so alive? The answer begins to form, and those watching will wonder, what is Paige hiding? As Paige continues to walk along the beach, the sound of the waves now seems to echo louder, as if inviting her to surrender completely to the environment around her. She reaches the edge of the sea, where the water touches her feet, cold and invigorating. She does not hesitate. With an agile and graceful movement, she enters the ocean waters, letting the sea envelop her with its immensity. Every movement she makes seems to be part of a dance with nature. It is not just a bath in the sea, it is a total surrender to the world around her, where she feels at her essence in a place where control over everyday situations does not exist. The sun's reflection on the water creates a shimmering play of light around Paige, making her seem almost ethereal. She swims freely, her body moving in an almost hypnotic way, flowing with the waves in total harmony with the ocean. The sea becomes her ally, a space where she feels at peace, far from the external currents that surround her. There is a purity in her connection with the water, as if there in the midst of the vastness. She's able to free herself from all the constraints that the world imposes. But as the water engulfs her, something begins to change. The tranquility of the waves gives way to a growing inner uneasiness. Paige is no longer just swimming. She's trying to escape from something. A shadow of weariness and discomfort begins to appear in her eyes, as if this perfect moment is being interrupted by something beyond her control. The sea, which once was synonymous with freedom, begins to represent a metaphor for the prison she tries to ignore. She slowly returns to the sand, her feet touching dry land again, but now, the feeling of peace is accompanied by an inexplicable Feeling something she cannot dispel as Paige walks away from the water, the camera captures her most intimate expression. She looks out over the horizon once more, but this time her vision is not one of peace. The sun is still shining, the sky is still clear, but inside her something is in turmoil. The freedom she so desperately seeks seems to be being tested. The images of her hands touching the sand, the wind tousling her hair, all of this is shown, with increasing intensity, reflecting the growing internal battle that Paige is beginning to wage. The camera zooms in on her face, capturing every detail of her expression as she walks away from the sea. The music, which was once soothing, now carries a growing tension, as if the peace Paige found on the beach is being eroded by doubt. But what is she running from? What does she feel is lurking, waiting to disrupt the harmony she has, up until that moment, tried so hard to preserve? The viewer begins to sense that Paige's paradise is not the same paradise she imagined, and what seemed to be a moment of pure connection with nature now becomes a journey into the unknown. And the question that remains is, what is really at stake here, and how much of her own truth is Paige willing to confront? The sun is now lower on the horizon, tinting the sky with golden and orange hues. Paige's day is coming to an end, but the feeling of something unfinished lingers. She finds herself once again at the seashore, her gaze fixed on the horizon. The sea breeze is now cooler, bringing with it a slight melancholy, as if the world has changed on some imperceptible level. Each step taken on the sand, although firm, seems to carry an invisible weight. Paige no longer seems as calm as before. The smile that once seemed to reflect her inner peace is now replaced by a deeper, more introspective expression. She is about to confront a truth that until that moment seemed distant. With one last look at the vast ocean before her, Paige begins to walk away from the water, but something inside her has changed. The paradise she sought in the waves no longer fulfills her. Something greater is at stake, a need to understand her true strength, her true essence. She feels the presence of something that is about to be revealed, something she can no longer ignore. She stops for a moment and closes her eyes, as if absorbing every bit of energy that nature has to offer. The sound of the waves, now softer, seems to calm her momentarily, but she knows that the real fight is yet to come. It is not against the sea, it is not against the wind. The fight is against herself. The camera watches her as she takes a deep breath, her chest expanding with each inhalation as the afternoon shadows begin to envelop the beach. A moment of total silence precedes what is to come. Paige is ready for something more. She knows that her power lies not only in her connection with nature, but in her ability to deal with the internal storms that she has, for so long, tried to control. The anger that was once hidden by the serenity of the beach begins to surface. She knows that her journey is not just about being free, it is about understanding the responsibility that comes with that freedom, and what it truly represents. In an emotional turn, Paige looks directly at the camera, her expression now clear and focused. There is a strength in her eyes, a decision made. "I will no longer run from who I am," she says with an intensity that reverberates in the air. The sea in the background seems to react to her new state of mind, the waves crashing harder against the sand as if to accompany her in this decision. Paige is aware that she is now about to face something greater than she could have imagined, a truth that could only be revealed by embracing one's vulnerability and strength. She turns and begins walking towards the beach, but this time her posture is different. She is confident. The camera follows her, capturing her strong, determined figure as she walks away from the sea. The sun, now almost at its final setting, paints the sky with dramatic, powerful colors. The scenery is still the same, but the transformation Paige has experienced throughout the day is evident. She's no longer just the woman who takes refuge on the beach. She's the woman who embraces her inner power, and it makes her unstoppable. What began as a search for peace has now become a journey of self-discovery and confrontation. The freedom Paige has always longed for has been hers, but now she understands that it is not just about escaping to safety, it is about confronting everything she is, and embracing it with courage. As she walks away from the beach, the camera follows her for a few more seconds until she disappears into the distance, accompanied only by the music growing in intensity. The sound of the waves now mingles with a sense of closure and renewal. Paige Woolen has found what she needed. True power lies not in the things she controlled, but in the things she has finally chosen to face. What comes next, no one can predict. But one thing is certain, paradise as she knew it will never be the same again.